Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD Championship Week Video Notebook Day number 8. Day
Eight,
number
eight,
8 here.
eighth day of the week.
Eighth
Wow.
day of the week. We're a little over halfway done with this week,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
15-day week. I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. We got David Griggs over there. Mike Cha joining us for a little late night video notebook tonight. And as I already said here once, this is the Hoops HD Championship Week Video
woo-hoo.
Notebook.
Man,
Woohoo.
All right,
man,
we're all
the
excited
art
about
Dun,
department,
dun, 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 dun.
yeah, the art
that.
department is knocking it out of the park. I mean, this new partnership we have with the College Basketball School of Art and Design is just incredible. The
Yeah,
work they're
what
doing.
seed are they getting in the tournament? What are we projecting them to?
I don't. I need to look at the survival board. I can't remember.
uh, just so anybody is worried, David Griggs is still safely locked in the puppet bunker. The attempt to break him out from last week completely failed, and we have resecured the doors. Everything is locked away.
But it's been longer than a week. The
I never said
TV's
a week.
broken. The TV's broken.
I never said a week before you came in.
Yeah.
Let's get to some news and notes and some regular season stuff that went on here, and not just a handful of regular season games to note here. Mike, you are a Michigan guy. Your Wolverines did not look very good at Michigan State today, though.
No, they didn't. And they haven't looked good in quite a while. They lost at both home games to Illinois and Maryland. I mean, nothing to be ashamed of, but still, you got to win a few of those. You got to win at least one of those games. And remember, if not for a game-winning three at the end, they would have lost to Rutgers. That would have been the four straight losses to end the regular season. So, if anything, they're very lucky. And they're very lucky to receive a three seed in the Big Ten tournament because Wisconsin wet the bed. And Purdue lost at Illinois. No shame there. But Michigan's pretty lucky. They got to right the ship. Otherwise, it's going to be one and out in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ever since we observed that Michigan had won, I think 11 in a row, however many it was, of games by 4 points or less, they've lost three out of four, and none of the three were really close, and the one that they won was close. Michigan State is on fire. They haven't been, firing on all cylinders all year, but they're firing on all cylinders now, and they fired on enough cylinders throughout much of the year where I don't know. I mean, Rocco not here, Titel not here. I almost think that they're a two regardless of what happens because
Yeah, I agree.
they've done what they've done. Why, if they go out early, why knock them for not repeating something they've already done?
Well, not to
Uh,
mention that their loss would be a neutral court loss to Oregon or Indiana, and there's no shame in that.
no, and they've beaten those teams. They've outperformed those teams. So why should you even be dinged for that?
yeah. There is that big tournament, 10 tournament bracket. There's Michigan. They did get the three seed. They do get the double bye, but there's Purdue looming in the their very first game. And Michigan State, as you mentioned, get the winner of Oregon, Indiana. We'll take a closer look at this tournament on Tuesday night
Yeah,
before it starts. But a few other scores to note. First of all, Oregon needed overtime to beat Washington.
yeah.
My Scarlet Knights finished this season with a W at home finished the regular season. They got USC coming up in the Big Ten tournament. And
Oh my
Griggs,
goodness.
2.5 weeks ago, the Nebraska Cornhuskers were solidly in the field. Then they kind of moved to in. Then they moved to bubble-ish out.
And now they're
And
Big
today they
Ten
lost
out.
at home to Nebraska, at home to Iowa. And that Big Ten field we just showed did not have the word Nebraska on it.
Like
The
stumbling backwards
Cornhuskers,
and you fall off a cliff.
the
Yeah.
Cornhuskers, their regular season is done. And while I think they probably have a profile that's probably in the top 8 teams, it's going to be 6 to 8 teams is going to be left out of the field. There is zero ways they can do anything to improve it, while everyone else is going to have a shot to improve it this next week. And so I
Yeah.
don't think there's any path for them to get in the field at
No, we're
all.
No.
gonna. I don't either. I don't. I would be stunned if our committee took them. I don't think the real committee will either. And it was kind of a scene. With
Here's a
about what
profile
was
on the
it?
left, by the way.
Yeah, with about 3 minutes to go, a sold out arena got up and left. Senior day, everything just out, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, yeah, there it is. I mean, 17 and 14, 11 and 14 versus the top three tiers, 5 losses in a row, very mediocre metrics. Yes, you beat Illinois at home, you won at Oregon, and you won at Creighton, but you've lost at home to Iowa, you lost at home to USC, you lost at home to Rutgers, you lost at home to Minnesota, you lost at Iowa, you got swept by them, you lost at Penn State. Way too much bad here.
Yeah,
I, 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 like I said, this might be one of the top 8 to 10 maybe the top 10 profiles not in the field, but there's zero path to get in there at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And one of the bigger surprises, how about North Texas just not showing up today?
Yeah, I don't really know that they had a path to get in the tournament. They would have been a little bit interesting had they won out to the American final. Still think they're dangerous in the American tournament,
Oh yeah,
but zero shot in that large bid now, I think, with this
Yeah, I
loss at
agree.
Temple.
not that it was high to begin with, but real
You
bad.
know, and keep in mind, as an at-large candidate, they would pick up one more loss.
Yep,
Yeah. But my thought was, if they make it to an American final, lose there to Memphis, they were going to have this really nice gaudy record, but another bad loss. They lost the home game to UTSA. Now they lost at Temple.
yeah,
That's
and
it for them.
yeah, and kind of blew it. I mean,
I'll pull
going to
them up here.
Temple and winning isn't the easiest thing to do, but it's something you have to be able to do if you want to be making the argument that you're a tournament team. Their best win of the year, they just don't top out high at all. It's arguably that neutral floor win over Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa wasn't playing as well then as they are now. There just isn't anything good there.
They may have beaten two NIT teams even.
Yeah,
That's I'm sorry, North Texas. I mean, I think, like I said, I think this team can beat Memphis at the
I
American
think they
Finals.
can.
That
Yeah.
might be in, but there's
Yeah.
only one way they're getting in, and that's with automatic bids. And I think we should stop talking about at-large bids, but the rest of the show's talking about automatic bids because
Yeah.
we had a handful of them given out today, beginning in the Big South
Woohoo.
Conference. And how about, Mike, how about a shout out to the High Point Panthers on their way to the first ever NCAA tournament?
Indeed, Winthrop was up by double digits, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, Winthrop they just have a way of playing well in March, and they're gonna take a bit away from High Point, but High Point just in the second half they really turn the game around, and this is well earned for them. I'm really happy for them.
It what was it? Was the lead 15? It was at least 12, but
I had it at 50 at
yeah.
plus 15. Yep, 15-point lead.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked like Winthrop was on cruise control, but High Point kicked it into another gear. It was sort of a microcosm of their season to where they were playing not badly, but not as well as you thought they should be. And then in the last third of the game, they really just turned on the Jets, sort of like they did in the last third of the season. This is a dangerous High Point team. This is a High Point team that probably underperformed a little bit and missed some chances to make their profile better. They're a team that's probably better than their profile. And while I'm not going to go nuts, I don't even know who they're going to be matched up against yet. They're good though. And I think that what you saw in the last 12 minutes of that game against a pretty good Winthrop team, and they just dominated them, outscoring them by 28 at that from that point on. Uh, this is a team that could really. We talk about this year after year after year, Chad. This is another team that's better than their profile. And is it really fair to the 4 or 5 they're going to get matched up with?
I think this is a very, very dangerous team. I agree with you.
Yeah.
There was actually two teams that I was kind of focusing in on all season long as two super dangerous teams that not many people are going to know about heading to the tournament. And the other one happened to have been our second automatic bid that we gave out today. That's this Lipscomb team.
Yeah.
Griggs, Lipscomb held on, found a way to hold off North Alabama, but this was a close game all the way.
For 38 and a half minutes, I think the whole game was played like in an 8 point window or a 12 point window, whatever it was. Like nobody had really had a lead that consisted of more than 2 possessions until the very end. It was just awesome. The crowd was, yeah, I think the ASUN does the 2/3, 1/3 split similar to what the Patriot League does. I didn't know this beforehand. North Alabama sold their ticket out allotment in 4 minutes. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Like, I
I
mean, it
did
was
not,
just,
but that doesn't surprise me either.
Believe it.
yeah, I mean, it was just an incredible, just high energy atmosphere. And I know that this isn't some big, a normo dome that a lot of the power leagues play in, but if you follow under the radar basketball, some of those smaller, more, compact venues are higher energy venues, and this one was through the roof all night long. It was just an absolute pleasure to watch this game. I wanted them to play again as soon as it was over.
It
And it's a
was
shame
fun.
that the Atlantic Sun's going to switch to a neutral
It's more than a
site.
shame. It's idiotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny listening to there was a halftime interview I was listening to, or maybe an
Yeah.
in-game interview with the ASUN commissioner, and the announcers were all being like, "Oh, congrats for you guys moving the headquarters to Jacksonville, moving the tournament to Jacksonville next year."
Josh
And
Pastner was not congratulating anyone.
I was gonna say, as soon as they went to Josh Pastner in the studio, he ripped into it, and so props to Josh Pastner for going ahead and ripping
Yeah.
into it because this conference should have stayed on tournament sites, and
Oh,
hopefully they eventually go
how
back
much
there.
fun was the regular season? We had four different teams vying for first place every week on Under the Radar. It was someone else. North Alabama, it came down to like the third tiebreaker, where they just barely missed hosting it themselves. And you want to give that up? You want to
I
give
heard
up those storylines? Like, what are you doing?
I heard a
Huh.
comment that says something so along the lines of if you can't sell like 85% of the tickets at a neutral site, you should be on campus sites. Like
Yes.
the ACC can sell 85% of the tickets anywhere. They can sell out anywhere.
Yeah.
They should be at a neutral site. These conferences can't sell out a neutral site.
No.
Uh, Mike, we spent a lot of time this season debating whether or not Drake would get an at-large bid should they not win Arch Madness. Well, it became moot today.
Yeah, they really, it's the way they played today is like it was close, but then uh it's been very representative of their season where, it's like maybe you can hang with them for about 25 to 30 minutes, but then they just clamp down on defense and they find a way to pull away and get the win. I mean, they've done it time and time again, and today was perfect proof. I mean, they played a good Bradley team. It was
Good
close. It
Bradley
could have
team.
gone either way in the first 30 minutes. But the last several minutes, Drake just clamped down on defense. They pulled away, and they showed why. They not only deserve to win the Missouri Valley, but they're going to be a dangerous team in the tournament. I mean, if I'm a 6 or 7 seed and I have to face Drake, I'm like, uh-oh, I don't want to face this Drake team. They're good. They're
Yeah.
legitimately good.
And we saw them play three games all throughout this tournament. They didn't play well against Southern Illinois and they won by 17. And think about what I just said. They didn't play well and they won by 17. If you can win by 17 and not play well, you're damn good. That Belmont Drake game, that was a battle where Belmont, I thought, played one of the better games, at least that I'd seen them play this year. Drake figured out a way to win. And then, like Mike just said, they just wore down Bradley. This is a very good Bradley team. I think a lot of us thought Bradley might win this tournament, and they just pulled ahead. This basically they ran through this tournament the way that you would expect a top 25 team to do it. And I have not at no point did I think Drake was a top 25 team, but they looked like one today. They
And
really did.
they might be one tomorrow and might save us from having an entire year without an under the radar school in the top 25. We'll see what the
Yeah.
polls say tomorrow. We'll try to update you on that.
I'd like to know
Um,
what seed they'll be. I mean, they'll be
I think it's going to be pretty good,
oh
honestly.
yeah,
I'm thinking 10 or 11, honestly. I know some
Are you?
yeah.
people think that I think they're better than that, but that's why I think they're going out. Now, a little sad here. Bennett Sturts for Drake who had 24 points today. What I read was he played, I believe it was 98.7% of the team's minutes this season. He averaged over 40 minutes per game because there was a few overtime games. And it actually ended up the highest percentage of time played according to Ken Pom since Ken Pom started his website. So
Wow.
that's a lot of playing time for Sturts.
Yeah.
Uh, Interesting
Luke?
stat, at least.
Yeah.
Uh, Griggs, it was the Summit League championship game, even though we already knew heading into the game today that Omaha was getting the automatic bid. There was still a
Yeah.
championship to be won. It was better to celebrate on the court than in a hotel room.
Yeah.
And the Mavericks went ahead and celebrated their first ever NCAA tournament bid with a win and cutting down the nets.
Yeah. And I talked yesterday about how I didn't think this was good for the Summit League to lose their showcase event, because they didn't have the storyline of the automatic bid and the winner going to the NCAA tournament. But it is what it is. And that aside, I was impressed with Omaha today. Mentally, you don't know where a team is that doesn't have to win a game. They showed up and they won it, and they beat a St. Thomas team that, while they finished ahead of them, I thought was at least as good and probably better than Omaha throughout most of the season. I just really thought the Tommies had outperformed them. And Omaha, from the time I've been watching them, and we've been watching them a lot because of what a great story they've been in the trash cans. What do you think, Chad? Have you seen them play a better game than the one they played today?
No,
I haven't.
well, these last two games they played put 100 points on South Dakota, then
Yeah.
the 85 points today. J.J. Way with 29 points, Markel Sutton with 22 points and 18 rebounds.
Yeah, against a good Tommy's team.
This was against a really good Tommy's team.
Yeah.
I know Omaha's probably going to be a 15 seed, could be a 16 even. Good shot
Yeah.
at maybe get up there to a 15 seed. This team is going to give somebody a battle. This is a team. I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, given how good that those 1 and 2 lines are going to be, I don't think they can win. But I wouldn't be surprised if you're sitting there with 12 minutes left, 8 minutes left of the game, and they're within striking distance still of a team. I'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
Hmm.
Uh, Mike, it was semifinal day in the Patriot League, and we saw one upset with Navy knocking off Bucknell, but and then American finally somebody took Colgate out from the Patriot League tournament after many, many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Bucknell fell, but that's why you play the games. American, they did their job and they get to host the championship game. So,
Yep.
um, can Navy pull off two upsets in a row? I mean, that's possible, but I right now I'm going to go with American. I just think it's hard to pull off two upsets in a row.
I wonder if we could just send John Titel out to this game here. This is right in his back door.
Well,
Two local teams too, so we'll have to
yeah,
work on it for that.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. Americans in DC right there.
Well, he need
And
yeah,
Navy right there in Annapolis. Yep.
let's get him
Oh, that's
let's
right.
get
Yeah.
call the SID. Let's get him a credential.
Yeah.
This is a good local rivalry that we come up Wednesday night, but
Yeah,
uh,
DMV battle here.
Hmm.
little battle of the DMV. Griggs, it was also semifinal day in the SoCon, and wow.
Wow.
Let's start with
Well,
maybe we start with Chattanooga Furman because that was one of the
yeah.
best games of the entire day.
It was an overtime game, and Furman, a team that we thought had underperformed throughout stretches of conference play. You might remember, if you've been following us all year, that as late as mid-January, we were discussing can Furman get inside the bubble. They went through a rough stretch, but throughout this whole tournament, blowing out a really good Sanford team that I know Sanford didn't play well down the stretch, or not at least not as well, but they beat them handily, and then beat Chattanooga, who was just on fire at the end of the year in overtime. I think this is the Furman team that we were expecting to see, or thought that this is January Furman, and they're back. And how about their opponent? This is how can you not be excited about this tomorrow night? The two biggest rivals in the conference, minus Citadel VMI, going at it for the championship. And I know Wofford is not having the kind of year or had shown the kind of potential that Furman, Chattanooga, East Tennessee had, but you can't negate. I don't want to overstate it, but you can't negate, Chad, the rivalry factor here.
Yeah, I think this could be a good game, and it's a 5 versus 6 seed. It's a
Yeah.
very good. It's probably the best 5 seed in an under the radar
Yeah.
conference we've
Oh,
had all
yeah.
season.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
uh,
Especially Furman. Furman's a good team. They're not chopped liver.
No.
Mike, what do you think? Do you think Wofford could knock off Furman, or does Furman get the bid tomorrow?
I mean, I'll go with Furman, but why not Wofford? I mean, it's not like 90-10 for Furman. I'd say more like 60-40. Wofford's got more than a puncher's chance to win this game. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think you're going to see about a 20-point win by Furman.
You think
I'm
so?
not. I think Furman. I
I
mean
think their
Wofford.
role, yeah.
Wofford got East Tennessee State. Then they got a real break with a VMI team that just isn't that good. And I don't.
And
I
that
don't
was
know
out
that.
of gas. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah. But I'd be shocked if Wofford won this game. I would.
Mhm.
That's one of two championships games coming up tomorrow. The other championship game, well, it's time.
Yes.
It's time once again to check in with the Stairway to Seven.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, it does look like a
And
stairway for sure.
Yeah.
and we have completed almost all the way there. There's only one little step left at the very end. Uh, but Griggs,
Yeah.
Arkansas State, South Alabama. Let's start there.
Yeah. So
Real
uh
good game most of the way.
it was an excellent game. South Alabama had a great season, and it was just kind of funny because it feels like this tournament's been going on for a week. Well, I suppose it has. And South Alabama playing their first game today, and it's almost like they just kind of had a cup of coffee in it. Same could be true for James Madison, but Arkansas State. One of the things to keep in mind is that 1 through 4 easily, and probably more like 1 through 6 or 7, were very close in ability and in
Well,
what they'd
the
accomplished.
top four teams tied for first place.
Yeah, it was a four-way tie for first place with Arkansas State, while the 4 seed overall, and while they did taper off a little down the stretch, probably had the highest overall profile. They had that win at Memphis and had probably played at the highest level of anyone, even though after the tiebreakers they were fourth. So I'm not shocked at all, and I don't think anybody is, that they beat South Alabama as good as South Alabama was this year. And I'm not, I know we're going to get to the other game here, but Arkansas State was, we thought all along that if they could get through the Sun Belt, they could really give somebody fits. And if they do get by Troy tomorrow, where do you see them? Because their profile is really good.
I think this could be a 12 seed team.
Yeah, I think so too.
Very easily. Mike, Troy went on a big run towards the end of the first half and kind of never looked back in this game. And
Yeah.
there they are. I have a really quick mention here. James Madison, for the last 2 years, has almost been owning this conference. Their men and women's teams both won the conference tournament last year. Their women's team is in the conference championship game tomorrow, funny enough, against Arkansas State. But finally, somebody took JMU out of this conference. But Mike, what do you think about tomorrow's Arkansas State Troy game?
I'm gonna go with Troy. I'm really impressed. I mean, they not only beat James Madison, they won by 19 points. They won easily. And like you said, James Madison has been a dominant team in this conference the last 2 years. I know anything can happen in one game, but I like Troy here.
And Griggs, I know you were talking about Arkansas State, but I'm with Mike. I think Troy wins this game as well.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next thought, is that I think Troy does win. They've looked, I mean, they matched them, punch for punch all throughout the conference race, and they knocked out Old Dominion, kind of knocked them into the sun. And then I mean, they've played two good teams and beaten them both handily. I mean, they've just looked incredible. And we've long been fans of Scott Cross. I would love to see him do it.
Mike, it was quarterfinal day in the Coastal, which saw one of the biggest upsets of the day, among other things. But so let's start with the top half of the bracket there, where Towson got a heck of a battle from Drexel, and William Mary no-showed against Delaware.
Yeah, no show. That's an understatement. At least compete, but when you lose by 22, it definitely shows that you just did not show up to compete.
Well, they didn't play defense, but then again, they haven't been doing that
Well,
all year.
let's throw the stat of the game out there. Delaware 3-point shooting for the game as a team, 18 for 29. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
go 18 for 29 from three, uh,
You don't do that
unless you're
normally.
gonna win 100 to 78, which is what
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
And
Delaware
William
shot
Mary shot,
55%, William and Mary only 35% overall from the field.
Yeah.
yeah, but William Mary actually hit a lot of threes also, but not a, but they just
Yeah.
didn't bother defending the three at all this game.
Shades of 85
This game,
Villanova.
yeah, they did, or this year.
Yeah, John Camp did 36 points for the Blue Hens. They got an interesting game against Towson, but Griggs, I think this is where it comes to an end tomorrow.
Yeah, I do too.
You can't expect that hot shooting 2 straight
No,
days.
no, and
Towson's a
Towson does.
lot better defensively, a
Yeah,
lot
Yeah.
better.
yeah, they'll actually defend.
Uh, and then Mike, in the bottom two games, UNC Wilmington didn't have much trouble with Hampton, but the College of Charleston Monmouth, wow, what a game this was!
Yeah, what a game. Overtime only won by 1 point, but that's a W.
But we got to talk about the final possession of
Oh
the
my
game here.
goodness. Oh,
Charleston's up 79-76. Monmouth has the ball, about 15 seconds left.
in
They dribble
Charleston,
around, they pass around, and Monmouth at the buzzer shoots a 10-footer from inside the lane to lose by one. They didn't kick it out for a three.
no, I don't know if they didn't know the situation. I don't know if
Yeah,
they
brain
just,
fart.
yeah,
The, the,
if they weren't
the,
aware
I
the
feel bad
time
for the
was running.
kid. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel bad for the kid. I think he thought they were down two. That's the only thing I could think.
right.
Yeah.
And one of the things a lot of teams, maybe even most of them, will foul in this situation when they're up three. Chris Mack, going back to where he's been previously, Louisville and Xavier, notorious for not doing that. And the only thing I can think of is, oh, they're not fouling. We must only be up two. I don't know. Maybe it threw them. They just did, but it was bizarre. Like you're watching, it would be along the lines of watching a football game where they wait to call timeout with a second or two left to kick the field goal and then opt to not call the timeout. I mean, it was just like, what?
Wilmington and Charleston tomorrow. I think we're in line for a real good game here in
Yeah,
the late game.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that one.
Uh,
Oh, we're on
let's
CBS Sports now. We're off of the
yeah,
stupid
yeah,
float.
no more flow hoops for the
Yeah.
season,
Oh,
thankfully.
thank God.
Uh, Griggs, West Coast Conference. Let's skip ahead here. As we record this, San Fran and Wazoo are late in the first half in a close game.
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to know what happened in that game, sorry, you're gonna have to check a scoreboard. But how about this incredible game, Griggs, between Santa Clara and Pepperdine, and how about uh, there
Well,
they go, Mo Odom, Mo buckets.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, my thought is,
double double again, 14 points, 13 assists. The kid's been incredible for this Pepperdine team this tournament. Three
yeah,
straight double doubles with assists being there with points.
and here's my thought. Like, had they imagine their last three games had been their first three conference games, we'd be talking about them as a potential tournament team. Like, I mean, that's a pretty good profile given who they've beaten. And in all that considered, it's where the hell was this before now?
I
Like,
gotta say, well, one thing I did hear, this is a serious note, is Pepperdine was right in the heart of those LA fires. The campus luckily was not hurt, but there was a
yeah,
lot going on during the season, and maybe this team would have been a 4 or 5 seed in this conference tournament had there not been a lot of these off-court distractions. But
yeah.
Mike, there's a new lease on life with these conference tournaments, and here they are. They get the St. Mary's Gales tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pepperdine, their only way into the NCAA tournament is via the automatic bid, and they'll get their chance to the David and Goliath matchup here to beat the number one seed here, St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
Go ahead,
reg-
Griggs.
But also keep in mind a big advantage for St. Mary's is this is their first game in this tournament, whereas Pepperdine, this is going to be their fourth in 4 days. Could fatigue be a factor here?
it could be. Yeah.
I really think it's going to be a factor here. And Griggs, real quick, since San Francisco Washington State is not over yet as we record this, can you tell everybody what happened in this game?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what ended up happening is, you know, it looked like for a while that San Francisco was going to win. They had the lead in the first half, but then it was close, so it looked like Washington may win, and that's how it ended.
Okay. And so one of the teams definitely won, and
Yeah,
then one
one
of
of
the
the
teams
teams
will
that,
be playing Gonzaga tomorrow.
and
Uh,
that's a buzz saw.
in
San
another game
Francisco's
that
had a
we're probably going to record the podcast before that tomorrow night before that game
yeah.
goes final too, but we'll see what
Oh,
happens here.
yeah,
Uh,
Gonzaga just, I mean, is just, I mean, they really came to life in those last few regular season games.
Yeah, I agree with you. Uh, Over in the Southland Conference, it was opening round day here.
Yeah.
Uh, and Mike, the first game, Corpus Christi really didn't have much trouble with Houston Christian. They were upset about the way the tiebreakers worked out. They really thought they should have been the 4 seed. The Southland has some very strange tiebreaker systems. But we had another overtime game in the nightcap between Southeastern Louisiana and Incarnate Word.
Yeah, and you know when you have a six against a seven, in theory it should be a close game, and that's what happened and went into overtime. 71-67. I mean, it's only by seeding is it an upset, but it's a seven against a six, so it's not really a major upset in my mind.
Yeah, no, but it was a fun game. Actually, Incarnate Word jumped out big early. Sela came all the way back, forced
Yeah.
that overtime. It was back and forth, and Incarnate Word actually a couple bad turnovers by Southeastern Louisiana at the end of that overtime session
Hmm.
sealed their fate, I thought. Uh, Big Sky Conference. Only one score on the screen there. There are only two quarterfinals today. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get there, let me go back. Let's preview tomorrow's games here. Northwestern State,
Yeah.
Corpus Christi, and Nichols Incarnate Word. Griggs, do you see anything in either of these two games that's going to be worth paying attention to?
Corpus Christi, I think that they're really good and that they'll show that they did in fact deserve the 4 seed, and I think they'll win that one. Incarnate Word, it was fun to see them win a tournament game, but I don't think they're going to compete with Nichols.
I agree with you there. Now, over in the Big Sky, there are two quarterfinals on the schedule for today. Northern Colorado, no trouble whatsoever
None.
with Weber State there. Isaiah Hawthorne with 29 points in the winning effort. And the late game, which honestly has about a minute left in it as we record
Looks like
this,
yeah, it was
Montana had 10-point leads. Looks like they're on their way to a win here. But,
yeah.
Griggs, it was a lot closer all the way through than it should have been for it in a 2-7 game.
Yeah, for about 30 minutes, Northern Arizona right in there. We're into a situation now as we record this, like you said, Northern Arizona fouling to try and extend the game. Uh, we've seen how unsuccessful that frequently is. Montana most likely moving on, but a good effort tonight by Northern Arizona. I
Yes,
still like this Montana team to win the conference tournament.
a shout out to Trenton McLaughlin, up to 34 points and may get a few more before this is over with for in the losing effort for Northern Arizona. But
Yeah.
Mike, we have the other two quarterfinals tomorrow: Idaho State, Montana State, Portland State, Idaho. Anything you see about either one of them?
Okay, where am I? Let's see. So Idaho. Oh yeah, I see it. Okay.
The 4-5 and the
Um,
3-6 games. Yeah.
to be honest, I mean,
Yeah,
nothing compelling so far, but
I think they're both going to be really good games, actually. I think all
oh
four of these
yeah.
teams were fairly close to each other
Yeah.
throughout the season. So, and Portland State was coming on strong towards the end there. So, if either game's going to be a blowout, Griggs, I think it'll be that late one.
Yeah, probably so. But Idaho State having one of the better years that I can remember, so it would be fun to see them play their way into a semifinal situation.
Yeah. Uh, Montana State, though, just has been a force in the Big Sky tournament the last few
Yeah,
years. Stark
yeah, they
man this
have.
year. So
Uh-huh.
somebody, it's kind of like Colgate from the Americans. Somebody's got to take them out, or Vermont in the
Yeah,
America East, or one of those. That's it for what was played today, and for almost everything that's coming up tomorrow. There's only one other conference back in action tomorrow, but it's going to be a pair of fun games. It is semifinal day in the
Woohoo!
Horizon League.
Yeah,
Uh,
Hmm.
these games switching from campus sites to Indianapolis for these last two rounds. Oakland is going to be taking on Morris Robert, and yes, it is Morris Robert.
yeah.
And Cleveland State versus Youngstown State. Mike, do we have two coin flip games here or what?
I like Robert. Shoot, I like Robert Morris a lot. Not by a lot, but substantially over Oakland. Even though Oakland's a Michigan-based team and they had a good run last year, but I like Robert Morris in that game. Cleveland State, I think Cleveland State, Youngstown State will be a good game. If Youngstown State wins, it's not really a major upset, but I'm hoping for two good games here tomorrow night.
Uh,
Yeah.
well,
So,
Griggs,
yeah,
Youngstown State never been to the NCAA tournament before, and
right.
they've got a Cleveland State team that faltered down the stretch.
Yeah, this is
Somehow,
just a
somehow got through
fascinating.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, this is a
uh,
fascinating storyline, and it's you got the rivalry component there too.
you're very close
Uh,
in proximity to each
I'm
other.
really look. I mean, that's just a really intriguing game tomorrow. For all those reasons, but so is the first one, and I know that Robert Morris is kind of on fire, but I, I I just in Oakland was just sort of like what the hell happened to them for most of the year, but they've looked good in both their tournament games. I mean, it's hard to look bad against Green Bay. I just have a feeling, and maybe it's Greg Campy, maybe it's naivety, that Oakland is really, really going to battle them and maybe even win it.
I would not be surprised to see an Oakland Youngstown championship game.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I'm leaning. If you want to ask me what I'm going to call right now.
yeah.
Uh, but that's it for the games. Let's do a quick check-in on our survival board right up there on the
Woohoo! Yep.
website. Uh, this is a tool that we do for the selection committee. Among other
Yes,
things,
it is.
we are tracking the number of teams left with a shot at making the NCAA tournament. And heading into play today, there were 240 teams left with a chance to win it all. As a result of everything that was played today, with the exception of the Big Sky game that just went final with Montana's win over Northern Arizona and this late West Coast Conference game that we're watching. Uh, but as a result of everything but those games, let's see where we ended up. 224.
Yeah.
A small jump today, a small
Yeah,
jump.
not as busy as Saturday, but still a really, really fun day. A couple teams getting automatic bids. And congratulations to Lipscomb on winning what will be the last fun Atlantic Sun tournament because they're moving it to, Jacksonville.
And we do have teams categorized in different ways for the benefit of the selection committee on here. And we like
Yeah.
to do is just like remind them. So like there's teams that are locks and they're in blue, Greg. So if a selection committee member is in the room and just
Yeah.
has no idea what they're doing,
Right.
and
Yeah.
a debate comes up whether or not Lipscomb should be in the NCAA tournament even. I mean, who's ever heard of Lipscomb in that room? What does
Right.
this tell them?
I mean, it tells them that they have to take them because, like, not only are they in blue, but they're bold and in blue. And the committee, you might not know this, they don't get together until Wednesday night, so they're not together yet. And a lot of them probably don't watch basketball until they get together as a group. So they just don't know what's going on. And this board lets them know what they need to be doing.
What about the teams though that are just in regular type?
Okay.
Like UMass in there. UMass
Y-
had
y-
John Calipari was their head coach. They were, Final
Yeah.
Four type of team and everything. And what if a committee member says we should give an at-large bid to UMass? What does this tell them?
Well, it's very not even possible, but probable that one of the 12 committee members will want to do that because of the reason you just said. And what this board tells them is, well, no, you can't select them. They're still playing. They're not crossed out. So you need to sort of watch their games, but you just can't select them unless they win the auto bid.
Well, what if another committee member says NC State Final Four
Final
last year?
Four last
They
year, yeah.
belong in the field.
Wow, what do you
They
difference in
belong.
your mix?
Yeah, and well, one of the things is they don't have a coach. So if they were to be selected, they would need to have someone, volunteer for that position or something. But the other thing is they're we've crossed them out, so they cannot select them no matter what happens.
Last question here, Griggs. Let's say they're sitting there debating teams and they come across Wake Forest.
Yeah. And maybe, and again, they're going to have to decide whether or not they want Wake Forest for themselves.
So we're not deciding that for them. We're not
No,
going
we're
to make
not
all the
deciding
decisions.
that. We're not
Just
going to make
most
all
of them.
just most of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we make about 300 and, well, there's 364 teams. We make about 290 of the decisions.
No, I think we make about 330 or so.
Okay,
30
yeah, I
40
think you're
decisions.
right. Yeah.
There's we only give them about 20 or 30 teams to debate at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyhow, let's move on to our countdown here.
Yes.
Top 15 trophies in college athletics. Let's go through what we've seen so
Oh,
far.
yeah.
The wagon wheel,
Mhm.
the old bucket,
Yeah.
all rest of the Hoops HD
Oh,
mythical
yeah.
conference buckets,
Mythical.
the Concordia St. Olaf Troll,
Yeah.
great one there.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
a good
The Border War
Trophy.
in celebration of the Colorado-Wyoming dispute given to the Kansas, Missouri.
Or is it the other way around? I forget.
Oh,
The Winwood Cup.
It is the Winwood Cup.
That's we need to send that to Steve Winwood.
At Winthrop and Longwood. Yes, it's the
Yeah.
Winwood Cup between Winthrop and Longwood. We saw a couple nights ago. This is NC-17 here. The silver
Yeah.
shotgun given to the
Citadel
VMI silver
Puma.
winners. A real
Wow.
trophy, folks.
That's
real
real-
trophy.
Yes.
And last night, we saw the Gouch Eater Cup
Yeah,
between the
and
Gauchos and the Anteaters of
And I
Irvine
just
and
like
Santa
that we
Barbara.
were able to get that the trophy replicas an actual Gouch Eater.
Actual dipped in bronze Gouch Eater.
Yeah, I mean
It was still alive when they dipped it in there.
Yeah, it was. Oh,
We feel sorry for that poor
yes,
Gouch Eater.
yeah.
Anyhow, let's move on to the number 7 trophy in college athletics. It's the Southland Tournament Court.
Oh, it's the
whole
Southland
court
tournament.
is a trophy. Did you see these games today?
Oh,
Wow. And they just want to make sure you know what tournament you're watching. So this is fascinating. Like, the trophy actually predates the court by about 50 years. Like, it was so big that the Southland winners You know this story. They were having trouble. They couldn't get it on the bus. They couldn't like have the parade on campus with it because it was just too damn big, and no one knew what to do with it. So they just built an arena around it, and that's where they play the conference tournament now.
Right on top of the trophy. You see one of those players running over. A couple of those players are standing on the trophy. Makes the
Yeah,
games very interesting to be playing
it
around
does.
a
I mean,
trophy.
it's one of the only tournaments where the trophy is on the floor.
It's part of the game.
Yeah.
Uh, that, though, does end our show for the night. Let's go to the other final thoughts. Mike, any final thoughts on the what you saw today or anything about college basketball?
Well, in my opinion, we've already entered what is the best week or week and a half of the year. It's not the NCAA tournament as great as it is, but it's the conference championship week leading up into the NCAA tournament. We are in the midst of the best 9, 10 days of the year. I'm really excited, and you remember last year there were several bid stealers. Who knows if that could happen again this year?
I think it will. Uh,
Yeah.
Griggs, final thought.
Um, it would have been nice to see a two-bid Valley, but I'm glad Drake isn't going to have to worry about it. It would have been a crime had the committee left them out. And while I don't think they would have, I'm not 100% convinced that they wouldn't have. So, like, I'm just glad that now they can't because we have bolded them in blue.
We have. On that note, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. We'll be back again. Oh, tomorrow night we got an
Tomorrow
exciting
night?
night. We are
Yeah.
going to be doing a bracket rundown show earlier in the evening, probably around 9 or so Eastern. And then later on in the evening, we're going to be doing another video notebook as well. So two podcasts tomorrow night, Griggs.
Wow. Yeah. Busy night.
Busy
Doubleheader.
night. Busy night. Double header of podcasts. We got a couple championship games tomorrow also. So lots of content. Keep an eye on the website. We will talk to you again really soon.